A former Tennessee basketball coach is being looked at in line to be the next general manager of North Carolina. Buzz Peterson has been targeted by North Carolina and Hubert Davis for their new general manager position. North Carolina is following a model that I think Bill Belichick is wanting to do in football now. And if anybody would start this, it'd be Bill Belichick. But it's also one that Stanford is doing. Cal. Cal is doing. Ron Rivera, former Carolina Panthers, Washington Commanders head coach, has taken a GM role at Cal. The idea is, in the age of NIL, you want someone who evaluates talent and knows how to dole out the money and determine who's more valuable for different spots. So rather than spend ultra amounts of money on extra staff members, spending one on a GM seems valuable. Buzz Peterson is the guy that North Carolina is looking at. Now, let's talk a little bit about Buzz Peterson. Look, his resume is not a good one, okay? In case you guys don't remember, Buzz Peterson took over Tennessee from Jerry Green, who was run out of town because everybody felt that he underachieved with a ton of talent. Those Jerry Green teams, he had 4 straight seasons of 20 or more wins, won 2 SEC Eastern Division titles, won 1 SEC regular season title, made a Sweet 16 one year, got them as high as number 4 at times, had 4 straight NCAA tournament appearances. These were all first for Tennessee basketball, by the way, during this time period. I just want you to know that. So had up until that point, by far the most successful 4-year run in Tennessee basketball history. But people felt he had a stack of talent. They ran him out of town. They hired Buzz Peterson. Buzz Peterson, for those who don't remember, before he got to Tennessee, he had spent 4 years at Appalachian State and actually did a very good job. In 96-97, he went 14-14. 97-98, he went 21-8 and won the Southern Conference. 98-99, he went 21-8 again, won the Southern Conference. 99-2000, he went 23-9, won the Southern Conference, and finally the Southern Conference tournament, which got him into the NCAA tournament, but it was Appalachian State, so they lost in the first round. But still, more than impressive enough to land him a job at a larger school, which was Tulsa. Now, Tulsa, the year before he got there, had gone to the Elite Eight under Bill Self, I believe it was. Buzz Peterson could not match Bill Self's success at all. He took a team that was 32-5 and reached the Elite Eight, and all he did was go 26-11. However, had a strong NIT, won the NIT championship. So his profile was still somewhat high. He was from the area. He seemed like a good guy and a good PR guy compared to Jerry Green, who was a disaster. So Doug Dickey, who never really was good with basketball hires, went and hired Buzz to replace Jerry Green, and Buzz Peterson didn't work out. Went 15-16, 17-12, 15-14, 14-17. But he was Michael Jordan's roommate. Okay. Anyways, Peterson gets fired, goes to Coastal Carolina for 2 years. Then he takes a job with he takes a job with the Charlotte Hornets, or at that time the Charlotte Bobcats, for a couple of years. Goes back into coaching, joins Appalachian State for a year, and then he goes to UNC Wilmington, where he has 4 losing seasons. Then he's fired, and at that point, by 2014, he's not in the market for a head coaching job. So after that, he gets hired by Charlotte, the Hornets again, special advisor to basketball operations. In case you guys don't remember, Buzz Peterson's friends with Michael Jordan. It seemed like Michael Jordan, who was owning the Hornets at the time, throwing him a bone. However, even after Michael Jordan sold the Hornets, Buzz Peterson worked his way up to be the assistant general manager. And so Peterson does have good experience evaluating talent. So let's go back to Tennessee for a minute and ask this question. While Buzz Peterson is probably not the best coach and not the best actual recruiter in terms of landing the talent, I actually think he's cut out for this job as GM in North Carolina, because I got to say this. In very Jeremy Pruitt fashion, Buzz strikes me as a guy who ain't the brightest with X's and O's, but he can scout talent. In case you guys forgot, Buzz Peterson was the one who recruited Chris Lofton. Buzz Peterson was the one who wanted Dane Bradshaw. Buzz Peterson was the one who wanted Jawan Smith. These are players that, again, Chris Lofton wasn't wanted by Kentucky, wasn't recruited that heavily by Louisville, and Buzz Peterson went out of his way to land Chris Lofton, a 3-star at the time. Turned out to be arguably the greatest player in Tennessee basketball history up until that point. He then went to, he found Jawan Smith, who went from nothing to an all-SEC guard his senior year. Now, yes, Bruce Pearl won with those guys and turned them into great players, but Bruce Pearl never matched the success at Tennessee that he had with those guys, Jawan Smith and Chris Lofton. Buzz also went all in on landing Tyler Smith. Tyler was the guy that he was going to build his program around. And obviously, Tyler Smith ended up going to prep school for a year because once Buzz Peterson was fired, for those who don't remember, his family didn't want him going to Tennessee to play for Bruce Pearl. They didn't trust Bruce Pearl. So Tyler goes to prep school, then goes to Iowa, but then his father's sick. So Tyler comes home and ends up playing for Pearl anyway. But Tyler Smith's success, Buzz Peterson scouted it before anybody. So in terms of just evaluating talent, I think this is a great deal for North Carolina. Buzz Peterson can do that very well. Now, the question you have to ask is, if you're at the level of North Carolina, do you really care about scouting talent or the ability to do that? You should be able to get your pick of the litter of 5 stars. I mean, Hubert Davis should have no problem landing 5-star talent whenever he wants to, because again, it's North Carolina. I mean, it's one of the premier programs in college basketball. 3 years ago, Hubert Davis had North Carolina in the national championship game. Last year, they won the ACC regular season title and went to Sweet 16. I mean, they're struggling this year. I will say that. So you do want to question, are there some issues? They have played a brutal schedule. I'll give them that. But that doesn't change the fact that they're struggling. So do you, if you're Hubert Davis, go the Buzz Peterson route and try to determine if you need a little more meticulous talent evaluation? Because I actually think Buzz Peterson could do that. And he's familiar with it at the NBA level, not just by being the assistant GM of the Hornets, but by understanding contracts and things like that. So I don't really think this is as bad of a deal as, I mean, we all laugh at Buzz Peterson. I see you guys on the message board. You're having so much fun. And I understand it. But I got to say that while, again, Buzz Ball was hilarious, Buzz the recruiter wasn't that bad. And Buzz the talent evaluator wasn't that bad. He also went for let's not forget this. He landed Major Wingate, went after Andre Patterson. CJ Watson, I don't give him a lot of credit for. CJ Watson always wanted to go to Tennessee. He was going to end up at Tennessee no matter what. But Buzz did scout guys that were overlooked at the time. And that did lay the foundation for Bruce Pearl to be able to win immediately when he got to Tennessee, which no one thought possible. So just looking at a few questions now. David Speaks is right. He recruited Dane, Smith, and Lofton. Should have been a Final Four team. And Dylan says as long as he's scouting, that's great for them. I don't expect them to recruit as well, though, just off NIL money. I understand that. And Matt SS asks, speaking of Bruce, is there any chance that Tennessee could hire Bruce after Barnes retires? When you say we are, I assume you're referring to Tennessee. No, that's not happening. Tennessee's not going to hire Bruce Pearl back. There are too many people connected to the program that have been rubbed the wrong way to certain degrees. So that's not happening. Derek says, sounds like a good old boy hire. I mean, most of the jobs Buzz Peterson has ever had have been good old boy hires. This is just the one that he's proven himself the most in, funny enough. So you do have to give him a little bit of credit for that. I know that's kind of crazy to say, but you do have to note that, like, look, at the end of the day, he has NBA experience. He understands the value at the NBA level. I guess you could say that, like, the level of scouting he's done has not been impressive. But at the same time, he did recruit well at Tennessee. So, and I don't mean recruit well by getting the top talent. I mean, he scouted guys that nobody else thought could be good. So that was probably his one biggest strength. So I do think maybe Buzz could handle being a GM of North Carolina in that new role. Give me your thoughts real quick. The show brought to you by Double D Piping.
Double D Piping provides full-service fire protection on any scale. From residential homes to government facilities, we can assist any customer through design, fabrication, installation, inspection, and demonstration of fire suppression systems. With 30 years of service across 5 states and a full staff with over 40 years experience, our quality can't be beaten. Don't get caught watching what you could have prevented. Call Double D Piping.
All right, what do you guys think? I'll set this up as the poll question. We'll go back to commercial. The question is, what do you think of UNC considering Buzz Peterson for a GM role? You could say, we're going to go with Derek's phrase, good old boy hire, could work, he scouts talent well. All right, so I want to know y'all's thoughts on that. Because, look, I think a lot of people in Knoxville wanted Buzz Peterson to work out. Buzz Peterson was great with the fans, great with the media, great with boosters and donors. I mean, he was your classic, handled them well. So I could see a lot of people were rooting for him. Derek does say North Carolina seems desperate for something for success. Coaching is their issue. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree at this point. They've been in all these games they've lost, by the way. It's been very close. They just haven't been able to catch the break and win. But we'll kind of see what happens. I mean, this is a little more intriguing than I think we realized.